Yeah, I'm feeling connected to my higher self. I always seem to find this version when I'm by myself. I had no problem being alone, but they tell me every king needs a throne. But I don't want no fancy chair crown, I want a home. Thought you wanted the same.
Mic check, mic check, mic check. It's Hooli V checking in from the 203. Yes, that's right. I'm the handsome one, and I'm chilling with the icy one, Matty Ice. Episode 13.
Episode 13, bro. Episode 13.
And you know what, Matty? It's Sunday. We're recording on a Sunday. Oh shit! Keep that. Don't even.
It's knocked over the mic.
It's April 25th, and I can't lie to you. I'm a little sluggish today. I don't have much of a pep in my step because I'm upset. First off, rest in peace, Terrence Clark.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough, bro. That was tough.
It was tough because I felt like, I mean, you probably more than me, you understand what he meant to the city of Massachusetts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of the state of Massachusetts.
Boston.
And he was a Boston product. I was a fan of his game, before he even hit Kentucky when he was playing with the Expressions. I don't know where he played in prep school, but I know he was just a phenomenal talent. I think he had I would compare him to he had the floater, he can shoot it a little bit. He had like a Will Barton game from Denver.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was slender. He can shoot it. But besides basketball, I felt like, he just touched so many lives, and I think this one hit closer to home for me anyways.
Yeah, I mean, he went to the River School, and then he really, blew up when he was at Brewster
Academy, that's right.
But yeah, it just, anytime something like this happens, I don't know him personally, but when anything tragic like this happens to someone, especially that has so much potential, hasn't even really lived his life. I mean, dude was 19, and obviously we've talked about Clark and stuff. It's just tough because it puts a lot of things in perspective. It shows you how fragile life is, how short life is, and that, you just can't take any day for granted. You have to really, every morning when you wake up, appreciate, hey, you get to live another day and make the best of it. Whatever your situation is, just make the best of it. Because you never know when it's going to be the end. And I think that's the worst part of seeing something like this, something tragic like this happen.
And I think it ties back into the thing that I talked about probably a couple episodes ago about just telling the ones that you love them,
Mm-hmm.
Appreciating the moments, and not counting the time instead of making the time count. And, him being a part of the basketball community, it hurts. It definitely hurts. I know Kentucky's hurting. I know John Calipari's hurting, and I know the people in Boston, Massachusetts are hurting. So, shout outs to those guys, their families. Shout out to Terrence Clark, to Clark's family. They're in our prayers. And I just hope we can get through this time, man, because like I said, or like you said, it's, a young life is gone. Mm-hmm. And, you hate to see it. Another reason that I'm sluggish too, Maddie, is, I happened to go to my first AAU tournament this weekend, and I think would probably be my last AAU tournament.
Not as a coach, correct?
As a director. As a director, I'm the assistant director, player development / for the Connecticut Passion, who a couple episodes Brendan Phelps created. And Maddie, it saddens me. I'm sad. I'm really sad because I brought my lady. Obviously, she wanted to see what the young guys were working with, and not because I brought my lady, but just because of the fact that the game, I feel like is taking a turn for the worse. And there's gonna be people out there who hear this, and they're gonna say, you don't understand the game now, or this is the way it is. You gotta cut it. You have to really just accept it. No, I'm not accepting it. I just can't. Somebody who is self-made, somebody who put the time in, somebody who understands what basketball can do for a young individual. AU in this specific tournament, it was terrible. And it's not even just about the play, the actual play. It's just the whole presentation of the tournament, of how basketball was being presented. coaches coaching with fitted caps on.
For real?
Yeah.
Why does that surprise me?
It doesn't surprise me because it happened before, but the fact that the people with fitted caps on coaching claim that they know a lot more than they do. And, you know, I can be Frank Martin here and say, hey, listen, I know a lot more basketball than you, but I would do exactly what Frank Martin did, and I'm just going to stay in the back, and I'm just going to observe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, teams canceling 5 minutes before the game is supposed to start.
That's good.
You know, and we're talking about top tier teams who are, you know, supposed to be, you know, the dominant teams in the tournament, not showing up and letting the program director know 5 minutes before the game is supposed to start that, hey, listen, we're not going to make it. Just unprofessional, disrespecting the game. Referees, you know, referees who were at the tournaments kind of just nonchalant, you know, jogging up and down, barely getting from 3-point line to 3-point line. And then, you know, when coaches, not even just my coaches, other coaches, trying to ask for an explanation on the call, it's kind of just like, you know what, I got this. You know, I'm making $45 an hour. I know I made the right call. The protocols, I know it's a sensitive subject, but the protocols with, you know, wearing a mask, kids aren't wearing the mask.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, I'll let you keep going, but yeah, I don't know are we doing it for optics? If you're really going to make kids wear the mask, then make them wear the mask. That's where I'm at. Or what the hell are you doing?
It's 100% under the chin. It's under their chin. Or if not, there were 2 or 3 teams who just didn't have any mask on at all.
Oh.
So it's like, what are we doing as far as respecting the game? How are we respecting the game? We're not, you know, something that I know that can't really be fixed is having people shooting in the middle of timeouts or during timeouts. You know, there was one point we had like a 10-minute interval because we couldn't get the kids off of the court during a timeout, after a timeout. It's like, where's the structure? Who's conducting these things? Who's really holding everyone accountable? And I don't know. I can keep going, Maddie. I really can, but it just hurt my heart. It hurt my heart knowing that, you know, the game right now is where it's at, and I just had to address that.
Well, I'm glad you did. You pretty much said everything of all the reasons why I hate AAU.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see why during these times it's like the wild, wild west over there. But yeah, I mean, I will, you know, maybe if my kids one day play AAU, you know, I'll go into spend a weekend doing that. But unless that happens, you will never catch me going to an AAU game and wasting a weekend in those gyms. Just, I don't know. It's just not basketball to me. It's not done the right way. To me, all I see is just, it's about making a check. There's no, and I think Eric says it in our interview. We, you know, there's an interview coming up with Eric Demers, great interview, but
shout out to E.
Yeah. He made a really good point, and I'll let you guys listen to it when he gets there. But, you know, if I'm going off that point, it's just that, you know, there's not a lot of genuine people out here doing it for the right reasons, you know, and it's not a shocker to me, but yeah, there's just people doing it for a check. You know, not every AAU program's like that. I know a bunch of good AAU programs out there, but most of them aren't.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, Maddie, you know me, on these pods, I'm very enthusiastic, and I'm extremely, I don't know, I'm flamboyant when it comes to expressing myself, when it comes to these type of topics. But I don't know, I left yesterday's tournament probably around 7:00 at night. You know, I got me an ice cream with some rainbow sprinkles, and I sat there in the parking lot, and I just said, man, like, you know, I owe so much to the game, and I owe so much to the people who really put basketball first and really cherish the way basketball is supposed to be played. And seeing it now, it's just a circus.
Yeah,
and
that's what it is.
It's a circus. But, you know, to your quote, and my favorite quote from you, Maddie, it's the fact that it's a necessary evil. AAU, it sucks. It really sucks, because AAU teams need to get their teams out there so players can get recruited, but there's also AAU programs out there who are kind of just out there, like you said, just doing it just because it's cool, and you know
Well,
what?
yeah, I mean it's sad, but it's what I tell kids that tell me, "Oh, I play on this AAU team or I play for this program." You know what?
Yeah.
My first question to them, and it's not even. I try not to be a jerk about it, but it is what it is. I'll say, "Yeah, do you pay to play?"
Mm-hmm.
If you do, then you're not on some elite program. They don't really
Yeah.
care about you, because I know how it works in those big AAU programs. The top teams, those dudes don't pay for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And all the teams under them, they all get charged whatever amount of money to pay for them. That's how it works. Like I'm not dumb. I know how it works. It's a business. And that sucks for those kids that are having to pay, because they're not getting the same treatment, or probably, their skill development or whatever. The coaches aren't focused on them. They're focused on, oh, look at this guy I created. Yeah, that 6'11" dude, you created him.
Exactly.
No, you just recruited him to play for you, and now it makes your AU program look great. It's like,
right.
What are we doing?
He still has bad footwork, that 6'11" guy that you grew.
And that's why I think, my whole beef with AAU is it's not genuine all the way through. I think for some kids it might be, and there's, I know, like I've said again, a program that I really like is the Middlesex Magic. I like how they do stuff. I like how
Shout out to Crotty.
Shout out to Crotty. I think he does a great job.
Great job.
He doesn't take kids that are just D1 players. I just think, if you have a program, you run it the right way. Like, how Brennan Phelps runs CT Pass. Like, I like those type of AU programs. Those to me are genuine programs. Mm-hmm. But there's just, everybody has a program. Everybody has an AAU team. So it's going to be watered down. It's going to be not a great product. So yeah, it sucks.
You hit it right on the head. It's just not a great product. And I saw a lot of not good products this weekend. I'm hoping that it gets better. I really do. It's only April. So I'm hoping that the May, June, and July, it gets better. But it just, Maddie, like I walk in the gym and I was just like, I just became immediately frustrated. You know what I mean? I had a cup of Joe. You know what I mean? My hair was pretty intact. You know what I mean? Like I was looking fresh. I was ready. I prepared for the day beforehand. And then when I got there, I became immediately disinterested because, I expected better. And
I've had too many bad experiences with AAU to, ever go back. And it sucks because I did it for the kids. I wasn't doing it for me. You think I want to be there? No. I was doing it for the kids. I, took a bunch of kids that were trying to get recruited, and I knew that there was the necessary evil to get them recruited. So I did it for a season. But, should I tell the story about the coach, or we should keep hiding it and go? What
episode are we on? 13?
13. Should I?
Oh no, I think you should. I think you should say it right now. So
I'm coaching AAU, and it was my last year doing it, and I got a bunch of kids on the team that we took from BST, and we weren't under any affiliation. Rick kind of put us in, and again, we're doing it to get kids exposure. All BST kids, and we're playing this team, the Rhode Island Elite. Everybody's elite, by the way. But if you didn't know, Julio, everyone's elite.
Everyone's elite.
And I'm coaching this game, and this coach that I'm going against, typical coach. I don't even know what he's dressed in. Loud mouth, kind of yelling the whole time. And what pissed me off the most was how it started. He started saying stuff to my player. Now, here's a grown man saying something about my player to him, like calling him ugly, or like saying something to him. And I looked at him, I said, yo, worry about your players. Don't talk about my players. You're a grown ass man. Like, you don't talk to my players. That's it.
Do you know what specifically he said, or he just kind of,
he literally was like mouthing up, because one of the guys on my team was having a good game, and I think he said something to my player.
He's
not
player, like that. Like that.
And my player must have said something back, and then he called him like ugly, or like something. Like he just like started going off on my player. So that's what I'm saying. Like I defended him. I defended him and like told the guy, like, which is an adult conversation. Hey, like, don't talk to my players. Worry about your guys.
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, again, we can talk about the officials making $45 an hour. They should have stepped in and said something, but of course they didn't. But anyway, then he starts coming back at me. Now this dude is talking to me, like, and he's like, yo, do you even know who I am? And I'm like, no, I don't.
It's real simple.
And, yeah. He's like, well, what does that mean? No, I don't know who you are. He's like, yo, I played in the league or something like that. And I'm like, what, this AAU league?
The tournament.
Oh, yeah, my bad. He said, yeah, so you remember the story. He said, I played in the tournament. And I was like, I'm thinking he means I'm not dumb. I think he means the NCAA tournament. So I just was like, what, this tournament? I said, anybody can play in this tournament.
Charles Barkley Classic.
Yeah. He's like, I played in the tournament. And I'm like, bro. And then he's like, you want to take this outside? And I'm like, bro, like, you're a grown man. And this is what you're doing. This is how you spend your weekend? Trying to fight people? It's like, I ain't fighting you. First off, I got better things to do. You know, like, and then what do you want me to? And I said, what do you want me to read you my resume so you can respect me? It's like, no, screw that. I ain't doing that.
Google me.
Yeah, that's my new line. Google me. But it's just crazy. Like that. After that, I remember texting my dad, and I just said to him, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I just can't. It gets to the point where it's like, you got parents in there. You got, I've dealt with parents who were mad that their kid wasn't getting enough playing time. But then I'm like, well, first off, your kid's not that good. Second of all, I get it. Everybody pays to play. And then, but he goes to every practice and some kids don't. I'm like, yeah, but practice isn't mandatory. This is why the whole culture thing of AAU is a joke, first off.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big culture guy. And like, how do you establish playing time, culture, all that stuff if practice isn't mandatory and it's 1 or 2 days a week and everybody pays to play? Well, then everybody has a right to play the same amount. But that, like, I'm trying to be competitive and I want to win. So I can't play everybody the same. So it's just like, what I'm saying? The whole culture of it, I didn't like. And then obviously, having that experience with that guy, literally like yelling stuff at a 16-year-old kid, swearing at him, and then coming at me, threatening to fight me. It's just like,
man,
all right, what are we doing? Like, what am I doing? What's the purpose of this? Are we here for the kids? Obviously I am trying to be, but you got these jamokes out here, doing this. And it's not authentic. It's not genuine. And I just can't be a part of that. I rather coach anywhere else.
I love it. You hit it right on the head, man. It's not authentic. It really isn't. It sucks that it's a necessity to get our kids into the next level. But it's not everyone. At the end of the day, it's not everyone. There's other programs out there who do it the right way. Shout out to CT Passion because we do it the right way. Shout out to Tommy Lorenzetti, who just got into Riviera College in the GNAT conference. He's from St. Paul Catholic. That's my guy. And those are his story. Tommy Lorenzetti, he didn't start until he was a senior in high school, and now he's going to Riviera to play college basketball, and no one thought he would do that. So that's what we do it for. We do it for people like that. We do it for people who really care about the game. And people who care about the game is someone just like Eric Demers, at Gordon College, was, the NCAA's leading scorer a year ago, averaged about 33 points a game. He's looking to make his professional career happen in the midst of all this COVID stuff. So let's get into the interview. You know what I mean, Maddie? We can talk about this all day long. That's why we're going for 100 episodes. We can talk about it on episode 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah. But we will hold off on it today. Here's the interview with Eric Demers. Joining us live now is Eric Demers. I got it right?
That sounded beautiful.
Eric Demers, last year's nation leading scorer from Gordon College. Eric, how you doing, man?
I'm good, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on and get to chop it up with you guys for a little bit.
Yeah, it's good to see you, bro. I haven't seen you in a while. Used to be in the BST gym. So it was good. It was good meeting you. Another
BS.
But he wasn't like Brad Neese. Like, he kind of, like, my second year there, I think the connection, right, Eric, if I'm wrong, was Keith Brown told you about it. And then that was kind of the connection.
He told me about it the summer going into our junior year. And I tried to come to like once a week, 1 out of the 2 days, like handling, like trying to balance summer work and stuff like that. Had a great summer. And then the second summer I think I only came twice. And then I tore cartilage in my wrist. I was kind of laying low that summer, unfortunately, but always had a great time when I was in the barn.
Oh yeah, it's great. I mean,
The barn. You guys
yeah,
call
we had there was some good battles in the barn between him, Keith, Josh. It was good stuff. I do miss that. But Eric, I think I want to start here because I think you're the first person on definitely that I can think of off the top of my head that you kind of grew up in a kind of my neck of the woods a little bit. I mean, obviously you were from Falmouth or Acushnet, right? Acushnet.
I was from Acushnet. I just went to Falmouth. School
Okay.
choice, yeah.
Yeah. So Acushnet even closer down to where I am in the neck of the woods of Fall River, Westport, Mass. So it's cool having someone that knows the area well. How did Falmouth High School? I was looking it up before you came on. Obviously, they're in the Cape and Islands League. So I was looking at the list of teams on there, and from where I was playing in Westport, we've played a few of these teams. What was that league like? And, kind of what was your high school experience like? Because I know a lot about you. I guess I don't really know much about what growing up and playing in Falmouth was like.
Yeah, so I think they recently changed conferences. So we used to be in a conference with Marshfield, Bridgewater, Raynham.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Our high school coach kind of saw Cape Cod basketball as not the best basketball, so he tried to get us off the Cape Cod as much as could be. But chose Falmouth. My dad was working there at the time. Acushnet, growing up some really small town in Massachusetts, didn't have their own high school, so it's kind of choosing between the surrounding towns, and I didn't really care for any of those choices basketball wise, honestly. So decided to head down the Cape.
So when you were at Falmouth, what was kind of like your recruiting process like, going, and then you end up going to Gordon? How did that all work out from Falmouth?
Lack of recruiting process is what it really was. I mean, in high school, I was more of just a lanky spot up shooter, slow, couldn't really handle the basketball. Had interest from a lot of Division III schools, and it kind of fell off pretty much middle of my senior year. Coaches stopped calling, stopped reaching out. And then it was down to Gordon and Springfield College. And at the time, the assistant coach at Springfield was the only one that was really recruiting me, came to my games. And funny enough, I ended up choosing Gordon because I was like, their head coach came to a bunch of games. They really showed interest. Like I wanted to go somewhere where I was wanted. And Springfield's coach never saw me play. And funny enough, I think it was my first conference game at Gordon. We're playing Western New England, and the assistant coach that recruited me at Springfield was now coaching at Western New England. So if I would have went to Springfield, I would have been going into a place where no one really wanted me or no one really knew me. So I like to think I made the right choice there.
Yeah. And
was that Colin Tabb? I'm sorry, Matty.
Oh, good.
No, it was I can't even remember the guy's name.
You don't need to remember him now. You don't need to remember.
Colin's a good guy though. I like Colin.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think you hit on something that we've talked about multiple times on this podcast, is that it came down to two for you, and you ended up choosing a school that you felt like wanted you. And I've always told players that are getting recruited, I said, if you just see the assistant coach, do they really want you? I mean, I don't know. To me, there's more of like this isn't Coach K. Even Coach K, the guys he wants, I'm assuming he goes to the gym and actively recruits them, even with the namesake of Duke or whatever. But I feel like that's a great point that you made a decision based on that you felt like they wanted you more because the head coach was out there recruiting you, not just sending the assistants. Because that definitely happened to me a few times with some different schools. And I think I actually had one of the JV coaches at my high school made that point to me. He's like, if he's never come to one of your games, I doubt that he really wants you, or he thinks that he can get you without even going, which to me is kind of whack. So because I actually work with someone at my school who went to Gordon College, who knows you.
Oh, really?
Just through the program. So what, kind of talk about Gordon College, because it's obviously a very religious school. Was that also in your decision to go to Gordon?
No, it wasn't. I wasn't a Christian at the time going to Gordon, which was a Christian school. For me, it was the best academic school I kind of got into. It's a pretty high liberal arts academic school, because someday the basketball will stop bouncing. I will need a real job. And then second on the list was I was going to be able to play right away as a freshman. came into a decent team, but I had the opportunity to play and potentially start right away. And the third thing was like it being a Christian school. Like if that was a bonus, like cherry on top, like at the time being, like great. If not, like so be it type of deal. But it just so happened that all three of those things hit for me.
I actually, your senior year at Gordon, I coached Garrett Sadison, who was a freshman on
Okay,
that squad. Yeah, so
that's a
he
small
also
world.
small world, man, and he was kind of the same way going back like on the recruiting process. He talked about all the schools that were recruiting him, but he mentioned that the head coach was always on him, and I just find that again we're trickling back. I find that very interesting because Garrett's a good player. You know what I mean? Like he's a really good player. And he came into a situation like you just went into, where he had the ability to kind of like play right away and, start as a freshman. With that being said, let's talk about the run that he made, Maddie. Let's talk hoops now. Let's talk a little bit about the way you were putting up numbers your senior year. All right.
Before we get to that, Eric, can I ask you a question? Did you have like a red shirt year or something, or did you get an injury waiver? Because on the website, when I was looking at, your career at Gordon, it says you played 5 years. So did you?
Yeah, so I played, I think it was 4 games my second year at Gordon, and
Okay.
I broke my foot.
Okay.
So I was like,
did you get an
let's run
injury
this back.
waiver?
Yeah, I got an injury
Okay.
waiver.
All right. I was just curious about that, but go ahead.
It's about the buckets now. We're talking about buckets now. 842 points in 1 year. 842 points. Tell me about the situation, going into your senior year. Not the best team in the conference, I don't want to say. You kind of went in there, you play University of Hartford. You guys go down to the wire with University of Hartford. Was it a mentality that you went into your senior year like, you know what, fuck that. I'm gonna put them up? Or is it like, I put the time in and I'm gonna put the team on my back and kind of just, try to win the conference?
No, absolutely. It was definitely a roller coaster all 4 years, but the year before, I think we went 23-5. Went to the conference championship, like sold out Holy Cross to play Nichols. Like our gyms were too small, so we went to a D1 facility and sold it out and played them in the championship. And they were ranked 8th in the country at the time. So I had the team success in the previous years. Played with a guy who had over 1,900 points, 1,300 rebounds. Was like my running mate. We graduated 4 starters that year, so I kind of knew that. Unfortunately, being my red shirt year, that was going to be like a rebuilding year. But I thought it was a great platform for me to kind of build my resume leading into the pro ranks, as well as kind of groom some of the younger players and kind of grow myself as a leader. I've always been someone that leads by example, and I always let the other captains in my previous class kind of be the vocal leaders. But now I was the kind of like the lone wolf, the oldest on the team. So it was an opportunity for me to grow in many different areas.
Do you credit that to being like, obviously you got better. If you just look at your stats and going through your career at Gordon, but do you feel like that also, like you just said, losing all those seniors accredited to your stats, like jumping off the page, because you were pretty consistent I guess it was your sophomore year after your redshirt year, your sophomore and junior year, your stats are almost like identical across the board, and then all of a sudden it just huge jump. I mean, obviously I think you got better as a player, but do you also credit that like you had to take more of the load that senior year?
No, absolutely. I mean, our coach always said we had 2 first options, but I always knew I was the second option. The 2 previous years, even though I was leading the team in scoring and doing things like that, I was getting those points in plays that weren't necessarily designed for me. But I was okay with that time because we're winning 15 in a row. We're rolling teams. So yeah, it was just definitely the opportunity of this is truly my team now, and I got the fluorescent bright green light, and I can kind of let it fly when I want to.
That shit was fluorescent. You got that right. 24. Hey, let's go down the line a little bit. 24, your first game, 30, 28, 32, 41, 31, 28, 49, 42, 39, 32. Okay, all right. Listen. I'm not going to keep going, E. I'm not going to keep. What are you guys running offensively over there, Gordon? What are you running?
Honestly, he ran the same exact plays from the year before when we had like the all conference big, and in middle of plays, I'm just pulling up. I mean, there was no necessary plays designed for me in my 4 years at Gordon, but I did have the opportunity and the privilege to have that green light to shoot when the opportunities came.
So you said from high school, you've always had the shooting ability, I'm assuming, because I think most shooters are most of it's natural, and then how much work you put into it, that's how
great shooters could always shoot at some point.
Correct. Yeah. So
Maddie, you agree with that? Great shooters always can shoot. That's what you're saying, because you're a great shooter and you can always shoot.
I've always told kids this. I think it's a natural ability. And
you can disagree, get better.
But it's about how much work you put in to then increase your ability. Steph Curry is a natural born shooter. Like, obviously he puts in tremendous work. That's why he is the greatest of all time. But Eric, I guess, what did you do? When did you start to improve kind of like your ball handling and shot making ability to create, opens? Because like you just said, once you became a senior, you're getting double team, triple team, however many people they're putting on you. So what do you attribute to being able to expand your game to not only just catch and shoot, but like, score off the dribble, score off, the bounce and stuff like that?
Totally. For me, it's just reaching my potential. And I think my potential was greater than just being a roll catch and shoot guy at the college level, as well as going back to my junior year when we went 23-5. We had a kid that led the country in 3-point percentage. He shot like 53% the year before, and he was coming off the bench because we had 3 like guards, including myself. So the way for us to be successful and get us all on the court was for me to move over to the point guard position that junior year. So in preparation for that, I knew the ball was going to be in my hands a lot more, and in playing a position I wasn't necessarily super familiar with, but just putting in the time in other areas of my game throughout the years.
Maddie, he talks about he got switched over to the point guard position. Remember Coach St. Nicole used to say, "You're a point guard, not a points guard." Well, you know what? It's changed, Coach. I think it's changed. I got a question for you. When you were, as you were transitioning and you were becoming that player that you are now, did you ever feel like you can move up to the next level, or was Gordon going to be your home, at the end of it all?
Totally. I definitely, I think after my sophomore year, I think I averaged around 26 or 27 in conference play. And I was like, I can definitely, this is when like the pro basketball started coming into my mind more realistically and things like that. And there was thoughts of transferring, but at the time I was dating my wife at the time at school, and I was having a really good time at Gordon and the experience. And the way I like to put it to people that always say I could play at the Division I level or scholarship level is like, if I was sitting on the bench at a mid-major D1 averaging 6 to 10 points a game, I would have never been in Sports Illustrated. I would have never had the opportunities or the doors open that were open because I was a Division III All-American type of deal.
It's I think that's a great point, because I think a lot of people would think in your scenario, like, hey, maybe I should transfer to be a D1 player. Now everybody's situation is different, but you just took the most of your opportunity and obviously hit it out of the park with that. But so when did obviously COVID kind of screwed things up? So were you, after your senior year, what was like the overseas professional, or even, because I think I'm pretty sure, this could be wrong, hopefully I did my research right. Did you you tried out with the Red Claws, right? Maine Red Claws, or no?
So I was that's more recent, but let's go back.
Yeah,
so
okay.
Senior year wraps up. Luckily our season ended right before COVID. I fly out to LA like a week after our season to work out with the NBA trainer Jordan Lawley, and meet with a few agents out there. I actually signed with Aaron Baines, his agent, who had a relationship with Jordan Lawley at the time. I'm no longer represented by him, but signed with him. Then it was a really long summer with COVID and whatnot. And then doors started to close with countries not allowing people to travel to. But when one door closes, another one opens. And when the Celtics got back into town from the bubble, I got invited to go play pickup with them. like a couple weeks after, because they weren't playing pickup right away. They wanted to take some time off. But actually got a connection to go play pickup with them through my barber, which is small world. And then in pickup with an NBA team is a lot different than any other pickup I've ever played against. They have people there massaging them before they step on the court. They bring referees. They have a shot clock. We played a 48-minute game. It's not really pickup. It's a structured environment. And I shot 12 for 16 from the field and playing pickup with those guys. And Jalen Brown walked up to me afterwards and was like, "Hey, you want to work out tomorrow?" And I was like, I don't even have to check my schedule. Jalen Brown asked me to work out tomorrow. Like, I was like, you tell me what time and where, and I'll be there. And that opened a relationship with those guys, and I was working out with them about 4 or 5 times a week. And it just so happened to be unfortunate that the Red Claws opted out of the G League bubble because of financial reasons. But it was a great opportunity to be in a gym with NBA level guys day in and day out and just see how they work and how they go about their business.
So who else was in that pickup? Was it just the starter? Was it a lot of Maine Red Claw guys? Or you had a lot of like Celtics guys playing too.
So it was Marcus Smart, Jalen Brown, Javonte Green, who just got traded, Vincent Poirier, who ended up getting traded in the offseason, Shabazz Napier.
Shabazz, baby. CT.
Shabazz, still around town. And then it filled up with a lot of like Boston high-level D1 guys that were in the area, because not all the Celtics were in the area. I've met most of them by now, but at this point, they were traveling and going to see their families and whatnot. But we just showed up, and I ended up shooting the ball pretty well that day, and it sparked a friendship for sure.
What would you tell people is you just alluded to, like, it's playing, pick up with NBA guys is a little different than playing pickup, with other people. Like, what would you say the couple takeaways, like, the size of everybody, the athleticism, you trying to guard people, like what is that really the difference, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you shoot 12 for 16 from the field, it felt like the game was coming pretty easy to me that day. But then I looked around and I had Jalen Brown and Shabazz Napier on my team passing me the ball. So the focus was definitely not on me. And it made my job a lot easier. But there's a lot of takeaways. The game slows down for sure at that level, which is kind of funny because those guys are bigger, faster, stronger. But the game really does slow down. I find it easier to score at that level because of the defensive 3 seconds, and the lanes are a lot bigger, and there's so many threats on the court that there's not a lot of help or double teams. But at the same time, those are some of the craziest athletes I've ever witnessed in person, and just the physicality of them is unreal.
Because I think that's how I try to quantify, like, when people ask me certain questions about basketball, is that I try to tell them, like, Julio and I played Davidson when we were in college, and like
we're gonna bring that up.
Well, no, it's not just about me here.
Well, they got smacked. Well, we got smacked. It's not about that, Julio. We got smacked, and I met Steph Curry, so that was cool. But
it's not cool. We lost by 60. Christ.
But
I think
my takeaway from playing Davidson was, like, when I was checking the guy, I was only a freshman, so I was young. When I was checking the guy on the guard on Davidson, I was like, all right, well, really the only difference between him and I is that he's 6'5" and he's more athletic than me. But I don't think he's a better shooter than me, or 100%. Like has more skill than me. And that's why I try to tell people is that I think the next level in the NBA or overseas is really about taking your skill and then just putting it in someone that is God-given abilities of being 6'5", 6'6", athletic. Like you just said, you're playing with the best athletes in the world. So I think that's cool to hear from your perspective that really that's it, No,
I was definitely the best shooter in the gym.
Yeah.
I made sure to once I became friendly and built a relationship with Jalen and Marcus, were the 2 primary guys I worked out with. I made sure to let them know in workouts and when we were playing one-on-one and stuff like that.
I'd put my money on you over Marcus Smart. That's a fact. Shooting.
I love you. E. I'm not doing it. I love you.
What? Shooting?
Go ahead.
You're gonna lose a lot of money.
I'll put my money on Eric over Marcus Smart. I seen Marcus Smart shoot.
Let's try to get Marcus Smart on the podcast, and, and then I'll try to ask him. Yeah, I love you both, man. I don't know. You talked about J-Law B-ball. I'm a big fan. I'm a YouTuber. I like to always watch stuff. I'm a junkie, so I'm always watching his pickups. You know, I watched a lot of the pickups with. He had like Taylor King from Villanova over there. A lot of those guys,
I love
underrated
Taylor.
guys. I love Taylor too. Just, you know, underrated. He was a McDonald's All-American and nobody really talked about. How was that? You know, you connected with him. How is he? How is his training? How is his, his approach to the game, and how are those pickups done there in Cali?
Totally. Jordan has become a great friend of mine. The thing about him is his energy is contagious. And for me, like now that I'm out of college, I have the choice of who I get to work with on a day-to-day basis. And I want to work with people that are genuine and have that energy and in the gym every single day. And he brings that energy, whether it's he's doing a workout with CJ McCollum, private workout, or he's doing a group workout for middle school and high school boys. Like he treats everyone that walks in those doors the same, with open arms, and he's genuine about each relationship. When it comes to the basketball side, it's probably some of the best pickup I've ever played with. It's not ISO pickup. They're calling out different actions and they're running it. They're like, pinch post, we're gonna go like screen down for Eric and we're getting into this action, and it's just pure basketball. And I think a lot of it credits to most of those. There's a few NBA guys there in the weeks I've played pickup, but a lot of them have played overseas, and just the fluidity of the game that's played across the water is beautiful basketball to be a part of.
And you're there like, sorry, Maddie.
No, keep
and
going.
you're there when you were there, is it like 4 or 5 days a week? It's like, all right, you work out from 10 to 12 and then come back at 3 and then we play from 3 to 5, or how's that
Yeah,
schedule?
so it's changed over the visits. I've gone there and I'm gonna go back out there in a couple months. But the first time I went out there, we were in the gym at like 6 a.m., like 6 to 9:30, and then I'd come back for an afternoon session. But being the level that Jordan's at, he's big into like the science behind it, and so he was on my next few visits. He's big on just getting your body going and keeping it going until we're done, like rather than the stop go type of things for recovery purposes. So in a week we'd probably work out a few hours a day and then play pickup on Wednesday and Fridays.
Wednesday and Thursday. Okay. Maddie, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna hint back to, you talking about your relationship with him and then how he hooked you up with an agent. And now, do you currently still have an agent, or are you just gonna wait till stuff starts picking up to then sign with somebody?
So I just signed with someone that's involved with Jalen Brown that he introduced me to. He's actually his attorney, because Jalen has his own agency.
Yeah.
It's not Jalen's agent, but it's Jalen's attorney in his agency that has his own agency on the outside. But my agent, it so happened to be he just signed with to be the vice president of Octagon Sports, which is the biggest agency in the world. And it just so happened that I felt like I got kind of pushed to the side, which is, it happens. I mean, there's no hard feelings, but he couldn't get me a job within a year's time. And I respectfully wanted to go my own way and kind of be a little bit closer home, like relationship wise with my new agent.
So I'm just very curious about that whole process. Like, what's that process like, picking an agent like you did now? And then, what's obviously your relationship with them, and like, what are they constantly trying to do? Obviously get you a job, but how does that landscape work, even if it wasn't COVID times?
Yeah. So even pre-COVID, when we thought this COVID was going to be a 2-week quarantine and normal life was going to start back up, coming from a Division III school, it's really hard to find an agent. I had a lot of European agents contacting me on WhatsApp, speaking broken English, trying to sell me to one country over there, and I just wasn't comfortable with that. I didn't want to hold myself to Portugal or hold myself to Ireland or Spain or just one country over there. So I had to take a chance on an agent that I had a really good relationship with Jordan, who had a good relationship with this agent, as well as he was the biggest well-known agent at the time that was reaching out to me and had the closest connection with. So I had to take a chance on that. But I feel like now that a year into it, I feel like I have better traction on I've just built relationships with different people over the last years, whether it be the Celtics coaching staff or Celtics players who everybody knows somebody. And it's just building that network, which is I've really been focusing on this last year.
I love it. I just love it. Basketball is just a huge, big community, and nobody really like understands. You know what I'm saying? With J Law and kind of marketing yourself all over the place, is that how you got connected with TBT and the D3 squad?
No, so they just reached out to me recently, in the past few months to be a part of them, but I don't think that has anything to do with J Law. The TBT assistant coach is an assistant coach at Babson, but I think I'm one of the few guys that's actually from New England that's playing for the D3 TBT team. But I'm definitely looking forward to it.
I mean, that's a huge platform for you too, right? Being out there. What is that process like? I mean, I don't know if you know anything yet, but like, do they have you practice with the team before you go out and play? How does that work?
So pretty much right now we're on Zoom calls every couple weeks, just building relationships with guys. Since we don't know each other, it's really unique because you're just going to show up to this thing and expect to have chemistry and perform it and win games right away. But it looks like we're going to go to they just announced the sites, and our GM and coach thinks we're going to be going to the Wichita State facility come end of July. I don't want to go to the middle of nowhere, Kansas, but I do get to play on ESPN, which is pretty cool. But we'll get out there probably a week early for like a mini training camp. But it's difficult. Like a lot of these Zoom calls, we'll already talk about like what we're going to run, what roles we fit into the team. And we're expected to go into camp pretty much knowing the plays and definitely being in shape.
What's your role?
Buckets.
Put them up.
He said our coach said the other day on our Zoom call is just for me to melt the nets. Just let it fly.
I like that role.
Awesome. That's gonna be
awesome. I'm totally cool with that. I've never hesitated with that role.
We talk hoops on here all the time, but we also like to talk, real life shit. So you got married at an early age, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get married in college? You met her when you were a freshman. Like, how did that go about? And when this happens, whenever you say whatever you're gonna say right now, we're gonna cut the snippet and send it to you so you can show her, and so you can let her know that, hey, listen, baby, you're always on my mind.
Always on my mind. Yeah, so she went to Gordon. We actually met at a church nearby that we both go to, but we were planning to get married after college, but then I decided to come back for a 5th year. So technically I would have been graduated from school. Definitely thankful we got married a year prior instead of summer of COVID, because we probably wouldn't have had a wedding.
Yep.
So that definitely big win there. But yeah, I got married in college. It was honestly the best decision I've ever made. We've had a blast with it. It didn't hinder my college experience whatsoever because I was already there 4 years. It's kind of a 5th year. Everyone I went to school with was graduated at the time. I was just kind of there playing basketball and already moved on from the college lifestyle. But yeah, it's been great.
Another reason I ask is because, as a basketball player and as someone in your position who's, you're looking to kind of bounce around and you're going to be traveling just because that's what basketball does. It kind of takes a toll on the significant other sometimes. So has that ever been like something that you have encountered? Has she like stressed that to you at any point?
No, absolutely. And I mean, I hope people have these hard conversations before they decide to get married of what careers are going to look like and kids and all that stuff. But she's totally on board. We kind of decided we're going to give it a 3-year window on basketball and then kind of revisit where we're at traveling wise, financial wise when it comes to basketball. But we've decided we're going to give it 3 years just because we have the ability to. We have our family supporting us if need be. Like, it's not like we're going to drown or be out of a house or anything crazy like that. But it definitely can be hard. I remember our senior year, she was student teaching our first year married. So she'd get up, we live in Beverly, Mass. So she'd get up at like 5:30 and drive to Lawrence. That's where she was doing her student teaching. and I'd pretty much wake up and roll over and say, see you later. And then I'd go about my day and have a road trip and come home at 12:30 at night from an away game. And it's like, wake her up and say, hey, hope you had a good day. Like, let's do this all over again tomorrow.
That's tough.
But of course it is, but it's just the transparency that we have in our relationship. And as long as we've kind of addressed these things ahead of time, we're definitely on the same page, and she supports the basketball dreams for sure.
Now, when it comes to that, obviously you don't know where you're going to be once this COVID stuff ends. So, if you went overseas and, that was the path you chose, would she probably come out there with you, or, because she's teaching, would you guys have that time where you're apart?
Yeah, no, we've definitely drawn a hard line in the sand, and she's coming with me for sure wherever we go.
Nice.
And we're okay with that. Since she does have her teaching credentials, even if we have a 5-year-old someday and we're still playing basketball in a random country, she can homeschool and we can do stuff like that, as well as international schools. And there's a bunch of opportunity for her to tutor English, and there's opportunities for her career to grow and have different experiences as well throughout this basketball experience.
I love it. You're 3 steps ahead. You're 3 steps ahead of everything, man. It's awesome.
I wish my brain functioned like that at his age.
I have one more question, and
Same.
then we can get into the either or, because that's probably the part that gets everyone all riled up, is the either or. So do you have an end goal as far as career wise? Is there a significant amount of years that you want to play professional, and if so, what's the after plan after you start getting ready for life and all the good stuff?
I love this question because a lot of people have so many different answers, and I think a lot of people label their answers to a certain league or a certain money standpoint. But for me, is I just want to reach my potential. I don't know what my potential is. The only way to find out is to put in all my resources and all my efforts into finding that potential. So that potential could be the G League, or it could be overseas, or it could be the YMCA, or in Gordon College's all-time leading scorer, wherever that may be. But for me, is if I give it my all and reach my potential, it's going to be easier for me to walk away from it someday and have no regrets. And that's definitely a big factor, and a big thing that comes into my mind is just walking away peacefully and knowing I gave it everything I had.
Love it.
That's a great answer. What, I guess the next part of that is like, what do you see yourself doing once you feel like the ball, stops bouncing? Do you want to be connected to the game, or you want to go a different path, or you haven't even gotten there yet?
I haven't. It's really hard. Because my wife is pregnant and I do want to be a family man, and it's hard to say if I play professional basketball for 5 years, it would be taking pretty much 5 years backwards if I wanted to become a coach. Like, I don't want to be a 29, 30-year-old grad assistant somewhere working for free when I'm trying to provide for a family. So the coaching world is tough to get into in any circumstance, not just mine. But if Gordon's job came open someday, maybe I'd apply for it. But I definitely see myself being around the game. I do enjoy player development a lot more than like strategizing for a team, so to speak. I love helping people, and I love seeing people progress and get better. I think that's just something I've found, seeing myself get better over the years and putting in that work. Right now I'm working part-time at a financial firm. I can see myself doing that money-wise going forward, but I definitely don't see myself working in the corporate world anytime soon.
You touched on and again, I guess I'm going to ask another question. You touched on the player development piece, and Maddie and I in the intro, we talked about the lack of player development in today's game. What do you see that are some flaws in today's game, AAU player development, that could see some tuning up on?
It's funny you use the term lack of player development, because in the way I see it, there's too much player development going on.
Oh, yeah.
There's too many trainers there's too many people who think they're doing the right thing for kids. And it's really hard for kids these days to be surrounded by genuine people who are looking out for their best interests. That's why I think what they have over there in North Andover at the barn is special, because those guys truly care about the kids, and it's unique because a lot of player development guys are chasing the quick money that those players are going to make them money someday, and those guys over at North Andover in the barn are working with kids that aren't going to play professional basketball. They're just truly there for the right reasons. My biggest take is just find people who are genuine and who see you beyond a basketball player and beyond a paycheck. But this basketball world, I don't know when if it's ever gonna come back to what it was or whatnot, but the AAU and the training aspect of it is not scary in a sense, but it's getting to be a lot. Everyone's a trainer nowadays. Everyone's a coach. And it's a lot to handle for sure.
That's a great point. I mean, I couldn't agree with them more. Yeah.
I think that was what I meant as far as lack of, because I don't consider people who make you go for a layup with a styrofoam foam roller in your right hand. I don't consider those guys trainers. No disrespect.
They're killing me. They're killing me. I mean, for me, like in a workout, I'm not touching 25 cones. I'm not doing a bunch of crazy things. Like, I'm running spots and knocking down shots because that's what I'm gonna do in a game. Like, if it doesn't translate to what your role is to a team, and I work on things that don't necessarily fit my role, because that's how you grow yourself as a player, to do more than what necessarily your coach sees you, or how you can grow into a bigger role. But it's not rocket science. I mean, if you can run off screens and knock down shots, there's going to be playing time for you. Or if you can stay in front of a guy and move your feet and defend. But all this double, triple moves into these crazy things is just it will never translate into the game unless you're Steph Curry and you're going to dribble around and shoot a three. But it's really hard to watch, especially with social media nowadays. Everyone will kind of praise those type of videos online and be quick to share and post their amazing workouts, when in reality it's not what you're going to be doing on a Friday night in a high school game or in a college game.
Well, I mean, I think, again, you make a good point, because I think we live in a world now where it's like it's always about the new thing, right? It's the new move, the new drill, the new, like, we're watching these. I watch some of these videos of these dudes. I'm like, when do you do that in a game? What happened? And I always talk about, like, go watch the greats, man. They focused on basic footwork, because that's what the game is. It's not these trendy, stupid ass drills that these dudes make up. But that's, like you said, they're chasing that money, they're chasing that fame. They want to be that trainer that's innovative and all this stuff, which I think obviously you want to grow the game, but also, I guess, back to your point, I've always looked at basketball training as, I like making the relationships. Like, I met you, and I love that I got to meet you through the barn, and all the other guys I've met there. And I think that's the cool part about basketball, is making those relationships and like you said, being genuine. And that's what it's all about. I guess my last question for you, I know you've played against Jalen Brown, which I would assume it's probably the best player you've ever been on the floor with or played against, on a D3 level, or not even level, in your college days, or even, playing out in the runs in J-Law. Who's the best basketball player you played against, other than, like, obviously barring the NBA guys?
I love this question. So
yeah, I always get interested in stuff like that. But
so non NBA guys, who's the best player?
Yeah, let's go just to make it simple. Like, who's the best non-professional basketball player you've played against, like in your college days, high school days, whatever?
We can stick to college, because we're somewhat familiar, all three of us, with Division III college basketball. Best college, it's so hard.
It is.
Because the
Marco kid from Nichols was really good when you were going to the conference championship. The Marco Echeverry, he's a Massachusetts guy.
So,
right?
All right, let's break this up to most, like, talented, and one of my favorite matchups.
Okay.
My favorite matchup in college was definitely Austin Cooney from Roger Williams.
Stud. Yeah.
Just because this irks me. He's the only guy that we defend each other. Like if you're gonna give it to me, like you got to come back and take it on the other end type of deal. And a lot of these teams would try to hide their leading scorer, best player by guarding someone else. So huge respect to Austin, just because I love battling on both ends of the floor with him. And just one of those guys that outworked everyone and kind of turned not the most talented kid into a 2,000 point scorer in college. But with that being said, in my time at Gordon, I think there were 5 kids in our conference that scored over 2,000 points in my 5 years, which is ridiculous.
Buckets, just buckets, baby.
Absolutely. It's so hard to pick one. Keith Brown was a microwave. He could get hot super quick. As well as the backcourt at Nichols was 2,000 point scorers on the same team is ridiculous.
Was that DeAndre Burton? Burton?
Deontay Bruton, yeah.
Bruton, yeah.
He's probably the most talented I think that I played against.
Lefty.
A lot of guys like even Marcos, like he could get a bucket, but like Deontay would put you on an island in Division III and go get you a bucket. Where a lot of Division III guys are more systematic type players, and I think that's where myself and Deontay kind of separated ourselves from the rest of the conference last year. Is our game's a lot more polished and smooth rather than the fundamentals are great, but at Division III you see a lot of like systematic, like hardworking players rather than like just being able to adjust mid player or mid move or something like that.
Makes sense. I mean, it's a good answer. I like that.
There's too many to choose from. I'm sorry I didn't give you a direct answer.
No, it's all right.
There's a lot of bucket getters.
I can never give a straight answer. I always go with 2 players, and Julio would know both of them. But I always go from us. I don't know if you disagree, Julio. I always go Lamont Thomas and Darius Watson. Those are the 2 best players I played against. D3.
Well, Darius Watson didn't belong in Division III. He was one of those Division III guys who got caught in the mix of it, and you know it's unfair. He's a Connecticut product, New Britain. If you didn't know,
okay.
6'5", just
6'5", wing. I'm gonna shoot over you. If not, I'm gonna put you on the block and then take you for a ride. Like it's one of those type of guys.
I love that.
Hopefully,
but that's the thing. Like just talking about that, and you know, I've heard many people. It's not like we're, you know, breaking news here, but like you know, anybody that's like, oh, D3 basketball, like go watch some D3 players play. It's not what you would think.
Oh yeah, I'm very careful about how I talk about Division III basketball because at the same time, when I was there, I had higher aspirations than all my teammates, but I had the most incredible basketball experience. Playing at the Division III level because those guys wanted to be there every day. They weren't there because they were getting a free education or because they had to be. It was genuine love for the game and just guys that grinded it out with you on a day-to-day basis.
And you built a brotherhood. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? You still have connections with those guys, I'm assuming.
Oh, absolutely. We're going. We're doing like a Cape Cod trip in a few weeks with a couple. I think we got about 10 guys from Gordon going down the Cape, play some golf, cook out, and just.
How's your golf game?
It's all right.
You dressed the part. I seen a picture. You dressed the part. You look like a pro. I dressed
the part. The other day I shot 83.
Oh Jesus! Let's end this conversation.
So no, but here's the deal. So my wife's younger brother is going to UNC next year to play golf. And they're just the golf family. They have the simulator down in the basement. So we were actually quarantined down there last spring. So I was probably playing golf 4 or 5 days a week last spring, and it kind of picked it up pretty quick.
Don't tell Buddha about the guy. He'll get all excited. He'll probably ask you. But that's awesome.
We need to hit the links sometime. We definitely need to get out there.
100%.
I was just a caddy. I just did all the caddy stuff. You know what I mean?
So was I. That's how you make money in the summer.
Hell of a conversation, man. It was very nice to meet you, obviously, man. I hope that in the future we can kind of get up and, you know, shoot the shit and, you know, maybe get on the court soon and play some threes. You know what I mean? 3 dribbles, smacks. We don't do the dilly dally. 3 dribbles, smacks.
No need to move your feet that much.
Before we go, we got to hit you with the either or. I'm gonna give you about 7 or 8 questions, and you kind of just gotta shoot in whatever you think is best. How's that sound?
Let's do it.
All right. Pancakes or French toast?
French toast.
Rondo or Kemba Walker?
Rondo.
Is it just because of the championship? Come on, come on. We talking about Kemba. Kemba cardiac.
I get that. I know. I've met Kemba a few times. I think he's great. But the way that basketball is trending nowadays, there's only one basketball on the court. There can only be so many isolation basketball players. I just think Rondo fits in with a successful team more than Kemba does at this stage.
What a great answer. Rondo is definitely one of my top point guards of all time, just because I love him. Pure points. Ankle socks or crew socks?
Crew, 100%.
Floaters in the paint or the mid range?
Mid.
Are you gonna shoot it,
It's a
or are you gonna throw it? If you touch 2 feet in the paint, are you gonna throw it up over? You're gonna throw the flotation device.
If I'm in the paint, I'm trying to get to the rim. But I definitely love my go-to turnaround mid-range jump shot.
Okay, I've seen a lot of that in the J-Law pickups, by the way. So keep that going.
We're still trying to grow the floater. I don't think the floater is a terrible shot. We're still trying to grow it, but right. if I'm shooting the basketball, higher percentage is going to be a mid-range than the floater.
I love it. Summer or the spring?
Summer.
Hakeem the Dream or Anthony Davis?
That's so hard because I'm so young. I don't think I appreciate Hakeem as much as I probably would have back then. But I'd have to go with Anthony Davis. The things he can do at his size with a basketball from the perimeter is impressive.
I like the way that you admitted the fact that you're really young and then you don't understand the fact that Hakeem the Dream was a different breed. Jalen Brown or Jason Tatum?
Jalen Brown, 100%.
Okay, you're saying that because he invited you to work out. He ain't saying any other stuff.
Hey, I'll tell you this. Friend. I used to be a Tatum guy. I'm a Brown guy, straight up.
I just think Brown's efficiency and I don't know. I'm even going back to last year. Like I was the biggest Gordon Hayward fan while he was in.
We know. Yeah, I remember
you
didn't like my comments on him, and I understand.
Oh no, but let's dive into this for 30 seconds. If you take the money aspect out of it, because Gordon Hayward's getting paid way too much. Like I get it's a business and money comes into it, but to have a former All-Star take a back seat and just play very efficiently behind 2 young stars was impressive to see for me. I just don't love Jason Tatum's shot selection. I think he's a very talented player.
Yeah.
But I just like the way Jalen's kind of coming into his own and being more aggressive recently, but he still lets the game come to him a little bit more than Jason does.
He's just more competitive for me. That's what I like about him. He's got more dog in him.
Oh, he's definitely a dog. On a day-to-day basis in the gym, he's a dog.
I think because you guys are both Massachusetts guys, I don't think Jason Tatum fits the description of a Boston Celtic. You know what I mean? That's me personally. Because once it gets down to 12 or 11, he's just going, tween, step back.
Tween. You more tween. Yeah. Side step.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I'm a Knick guy, but I don't mind watching the C's. Tremont Waters, New Haven product, Connecticut. Again, I gotta throw it out there. Last one, The Barn or J-Law B-Ball.
That's an easy one.
How is that an easy one?
It's not for me though, because I love the environment of both.
Yeah.
And I definitely love killing.
They're both different. They're both.
I hope Rick doesn't hear this. What are you gonna say? I think he's leaning towards the law.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. I think it's easy if you're talking about like where he's at now. But yeah,
I think basketball wise, obviously you got to go with the professional ranks of playing with professionals. But just if you walked into the barn and saw how hard these guys worked at their game for just. Let's say there's a result at the end of the day. They could turn out to win a conference championship or be a college player, but there's no they're not getting a job because of this. It's just a genuine love and hard work that they put in. There's nothing like it. I don't think you find anything unless you're in a professional setting. I don't think you find anything like the barn. in today's basketball world.
That's good stuff. I got one question to add, one more to either or, Julio. I usually don't do this. Only because he's a Southern Mass guy. And be careful how you answer this. Durfee High School or New Bedford High School?
Holy shit. I knew this was coming. So
Yep.
sort of.
Yep.
That's so tough because I have relationships with
Brian Rudolph, I know.
Brian Rudolph as well as Avery Oliver, who played at
Oh,
Durfee
okay. Yes,
back
Avery.
in the day.
Good dude.
Uncle Ave, that's what I call him. Uncle Ave. Oh gosh, I'd have to just go with New Bedford, just because I'm closer to New Bedford. I went to New Bedford camp growing up. I think I'd get a lot of hate if I were to say Durfee.
It's all good. It's all good. I respect it.
You went to Westport anyway.
Yeah, but yo, listen, it's family ties. My grandfather coached at Durfee. Skippy Karen, bro. Come on. Chris Herron. Those are all my dudes. I'm Durfee all the way. Can't be New Bedford. Even though I like a lot of those New Bedford guys. Brian Rudolph, Ryan Roderick's great dudes. So
you see how I'm trying to bridge the gap between, Rick Gore and J Law B-Ball. Maybe there's a connection down the way. I don't know. Maybe
J Law would have a conversation with Rick.
Oh my God,
he's the most genuine guy that I've introduced people to J Law all the time. And I like to tell not just J Law in general, but each of us are resources, and we all know people, and that's how you build network, is by relationships. And that's how it starts for sure.
Well, E, I can't thank you enough for coming on and give you your time. I'm looking forward to see July. Is it July? You'll be on ESPN, so tune in.
Yeah, end of July. We'll be playing on the TBT.
Can't wait to see you there, and then obviously, look forward to seeing what else, good stuff comes your way.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Let's hit the link sometime this spring.
All right, give me like 7-8 shots, and I'm in.
It's about the memories. It's not about the score.
It's always about the score.
Is a different story.
Yeah, that's true. Basketball it's weird. I tell people this before we go. Basketball and golf is so weird because like basketball, obviously we're all like super competitive. Golf, like it is about the score, but you're always in competition with yourself. Like when you play with someone else, I play with Buddha all the time. We're both really competitive, but we play golf. Like I thought Buddha, great shot. Like whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's totally weird. It's totally different.
The way I look at golf is like 4 hours, like in your own little world. Like you get to walk away from everything for 4 hours and just boys be boys and just hang out with your guys and just enjoy yourself. It's a lot different environment, but it's a good one.
All right, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate
Absolutely.
You,
I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.
Hey. Just stay true to yourself. And if nobody wanna help you, you can do it yourself. And if you live and impress others, it's how you losing yourself. And if you keep on running back, you just abusing yourself. Damn. I pray to God that you find your way. And when times is good, don't forget to pray. And be thankful for all the blessings that seem to come your way, cause that's how more come to you. That's all I had to say.